have you ever wanted to try fasting? Fasting can actually help you find your purpose, but maybe you didn't have a clue to know how to go about it. I know that's been some of my experience. Well, our guest today is author Ron Lagerquist. As an expert on the physical and spiritual benefits of fasting, he's published several books, including Fasting to Freedom, and he joins us now. Welcome to 700 Club Canada, Ron. Great to have you with us.
Yeah, it's great to see you. It's awesome.
Well, we've known each other for a long time. We won't go into all our life story, but Ron, I have seen God use fasting in your life in incredible ways. Why did you start fasting? And
Yeah,
when
great
was that?
question.
When was that?
Well, so I'll start off by saying I'm 62 years old, and I have absolutely no health issues at all, no medications, no antidepressants, which is a big deal because my doctor wanted to put me on lifelong antidepressants. I have no joint pain. I'm very active, and in fact, people half my age have a hard time keeping up with me. And I'm saying that for a reason. A lot of people think, well, you have really great genetics. I have terrible genetics. I was born very ill, tons of food allergies. I was covered in head to toe with eczema. And as I grew up, I developed bad asthma, and the list went on and on. In fact, my health was so bad at 30 years old when I worked for the Durham District School Board, they actually asked that I have a medical note anytime I took time off because I was taking so much sick time off. So I don't blame him for that. And so I heard about fasting back in the day when nobody was talking about fasting. And this guy who was into health and nutrition, he was doing a seminar on fasting. And a lot of my people that were in my church, my home church, wanted me to go. And I thought it was new age. Back then, there was no research on fasting at all, like there is today. And I just assumed, oh, this is just new age movement stuff, and I don't want to go. But they were going. So I thought, I better go just to make sure they're not going to get deceived. And so I went there, and at this point, I was very obese. I was very sick. I was allergic to all kinds of allergies. I had eczema on my face and my body. I had brain fog, and it was really tough for me to feel close to God just because I was so ill like that. And I was sluggish and I was depressed. But I went anyways. And the guy got up there and he stood there and he told me basically everything I was eating was killing me. And before that time, I know this is crazy now, Lori, but before that time, I did not make a connection between diet and health. I didn't, because back then it really wasn't talked about a lot in the church, and health and all that stuff was kind of hijacked by the New Age movement, which is unfortunate. It's not like that today. And so, anyways, he talked about a 30-day juice fast where all you do for 30 days is drink fresh vegetable and fruit juices. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. And I went on a 30-day juice fast, and I can't even describe how revolutionary that was for me, both physically and spiritually. So it completely revolutionized my whole health. Lost all of
Amazing.
my food allergies. I was deathly allergic to bananas before that. First thing I did when I got off my fast was eat a banana, and I've been eating them ever since.
Wow.
And as far as all the eczema disappeared, brain fog gone, and the
That's
spiritual experience I had spending time with the Lord,
wow.
that was unexpected. It was just I had a profound breakthrough spiritually with the Lord, and a rejuvenation of intimacy that I had not experienced for years.
Well,
And
you
so
taught
I couldn't stop.
like
Go ahead.
honest Ron, first of all, that's amazing. I mean, I think there's many people watching going, I've never made the connection,
Yeah,
right? Between what I'm putting in my body and really what's coming out of my body. And
that's right.
you are truly a testimony of the miraculous healing of fasting. But tell me more then about, you said, this spiritual benefits of fasting. It wasn't just about the allergies and losing weight
Right.
and feeling better. What happened then
Well,
that fasting
and
created this spiritual impact in your life?
it sure did. And I don't want to separate the spiritual, emotional, and physical, because Jesus didn't when he ministered. When you look at Jesus' ministry, he ministered to the whole body, soul, and spirit, didn't he? Really, he
Yes.
healed the sick. He touched those people who were untouchables, and he spoke truth, spiritual truth into their lives. So they're all interconnected. And so I was experiencing all these new health benefits, and the fog began to lift. I began to breathe clearly. But on top of that, I had ADHD really severe. So I had a difficult time concentrating, and that would include reading the Bible. And what happens during a fast is your mind begins to slow down. And so you're able to focus your mind in a different way. So I was reading the Bible, but I was reading the Bible. Like it was a deep reading of scripture. And so I was able to focus on the Lord in such a way that was different. The other thing that happens on a spiritual level too, that with me is I had a very difficult childhood. And so I had all of these voices, and a lot of them we're unaware of, and they really, a lot of these voices behind the scenes really kind of dictate our self-worth, our identity, and the decisions that we make. And it's like because these thoughts began to slow down, I was able to become more aware of them. And I became, oh my goodness, I have this whole belief system that's wrong about me, about who Christ is, who God is. And as I began to work that through in a fast, because understand, for me, fasting is just not eating. It's also solitude. It is waiting on the Lord. It's being still. So I included all of that, and I spent a tremendous amount of time with the Lord. And I began to work through some of these things. And so there was some healing from some of
Yeah.
those things from the past that had to do with my personal identity. So
Well,
it was a complete kind of metamorphosis, and people were shocked. I mean, I went from a obese person to quite thin. I was incredibly energetic. And I went years after that fast not taking a single sick day. I mean, that says it
amazing.
all right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
it
So
does.
everybody wanted to know what was going
Wow.
on with you, Ron. And so I began talking to people
Yeah.
about it and sharing it, because of course I'm excited and I want people to know, and I want them to experience
Yeah.
this beautiful experience. And
Yeah. Well, we're going to be,
eventually I just
wait,
started.
hold on that
Go
thought,
ahead.
Ron,
Sorry.
because we're going to
Sorry.
take a quick break and we want to know more too, because this
Okay.
is truly amazing. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Ron Lagerquist and fasting. Amazing. Well, we're back with Ron Lagerquist. And Ron, honestly, I'm waiting every word, hearing this story, this miraculous story of how fasting has transformed your life spiritually, physically, mentally. Amazing. Some people are watching, they're going, I need this transformation. Like, I need this to happen in my life. Can you give some examples? I know you do this in your book, but can you give
Yeah.
some examples of what a fast could look like? Because it's kind of scary to people who've never
Yeah.
tried it before, right?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say, starting out, I've kind of migrated to water fasting, just because now we have a whole body of research of what happens during fasting, which is astonishing, confirming what I was experiencing, because back in that day it was all anecdotal. So I would say, for somebody who's nervous, who wants to try this out, I would say one fast a day. Start with just a single day, right? And just go one day without eating, and just drinking lots of water. Or if you want to drink some fresh juice, I would stay away from the fruit juice. That's something I've changed. I would just steer more to the vegetable juices, and try to make that day, think of it as kind of a special time with the Lord, a honeymoon with the Lord. So it's gonna be also set up with solitude, with being alone, being still. Just kind of clear your calendar, and just spend the whole day just spending time with the Lord. Don't make it about the fast. Make it
Okay.
about the intimacy with the Lord. The fasting's the vehicle. The real core thing is your intimacy with God. Because I have found, you can fast to lose weight, and it's a wonderful way of doing that. But I have found that that never really held my fast together. I would quit, because it just wasn't enough motive for me. It was kind of like a bit of a dry cup for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
But when I fast to be close to the Lord, well, guess what happens? You lose weight. Hey, it
Wow.
happens. You have to think about it. You have to be focused on it.
Right.
And when Jesus was in the desert and he was tempted, he was hungry and he was tempted by Satan, and Satan, was saying, "Hey, why don't you turn those bread into, or sorry, rocks into bread?" And the Lord says, he quotes, and he's quoting, not just quoting, but he's speaking from his heart. And he says, no, 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 man does not live by bread alone, but by
Right.
every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And I found if you want to stay on your fast, stay in the word.
Yeah.
It's astonishing. I've been on a fast where I have gone a couple of days and not had an opportunity to really do a lot of praying and reading because I was busy. And I found that I broke my fast.
Right.
But I found when I didn't and I got alone with the Lord and I spent time reading his word, I literally felt nourished, even physically, by just reading his word. Like Jesus was right.
And
You
Jesus was
literally
right. Imagine
he was
that.
right. Yeah, he was right about a lot of things,
Yeah.
but he was right. And I feel you feel nourished, recharged, refocused. So I would say, that's really number one. Your
Yeah.
focus during a fast is absolutely paramount for the success of your ability, even a single day.
Right.
Remaining focused on the
Yeah.
Lord. So don't just add it to a busy day. Don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like clear your schedule for that day. Make that you
Yeah.
and Jesus, a honeymoon with Jesus.
Well, you've shared, thank you for telling us your story. And I think there's many of us that feel like whether it's a mental, like you say, the mind's running, whether there's physical issues, but ultimately it is about going to the healer and fasting and it gives space in your life, right, to come to the
Yeah.
healer and he'll meet you there. It's a beautiful story, Ron, and I know that in your book you unpack a lot of that for people and ways to do it. But if someone wanted to start right now, I know you mentioned water fasting, give us just a recommended start so that as they get off this interview, they can start right now. We have like 1 minute. Give us sort of a quick start guide to fasting. How's that?
Sure. Clear your schedule.
Yeah.
Um, and that's really key. Don't try to fit it into a busy, try to take a Saturday or Sunday where you're not working. And then let your family know. That's important so that there's not all this expectation. And find a place where you can be quiet and be alone, even if it's in your bedroom, and get lots of water. And then just spend time reading and praying and pressing into the Lord. Don't expect immediately to have great feelings. One of the big things, Lori, is fasting is actually warfare. It's actually innately warfare because the enemy doesn't want you fasting, and he
Right.
certainly doesn't want you intimate with God. So be prepared. This is super important. I talk a lot about this in my book. Be prepared that you're going to come against all kinds of reasons in your mind why you can't do this, and you're going to have voices. You're going to have negative feelings and emotions, especially in the first part of that fast. So I would say start a day, get your toe wet, then go
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
You can go juice fast. I actually in the book talk about the Daniel fast. You just, but I'm
Yeah.
more, I think really if you really want the spiritual benefits, either juice fasting or water fasting is the way to go.
Well,
So
this is so great, Ron. Thank you so much. For more information on fasting to freedom, visit 700clubs.ca and we have all the information there. Thank you so much, Ron.
you're welcome.